Good morning, it's 99.5 FM, AM 1340 WGRV. I'm Reid Seals, and I'm here for our monthly interview with Greene County Mayor Kevin Morrison. Good morning, Kevin.
Good morning, Reid.
So first off, explain the reasoning behind the desire for the county to purchase the Snaps Ferry property.
Well, I don't know that there was a desire that we went out and solicited this, but um, some of the family members that own the property, the old Samuel Cutshaw property along Snaps Ferry Road and Thornwood Drive, had approached me about a possible purchase of those 50 acres that adjoin the CCU campus. I don't know that we have any necessary need for land or go into the real estate business, but it did occur to me that that type of property in the middle of town with infrastructure that's nearby, actually on the property itself, might serve a good purpose for economic development. I approached Jeff Taylor, not having necessarily that expertise myself, approached Jeff Taylor, the chairman of the Greene County Partnership, to look into or at least pull on the resources that he has available to see if this property might be of viable interest to Greenville and Greene County as a whole for economic development. Now, the Tennessee Department of Economic and Community Development, ECD as it's collectively known, has a program that was put in place several years ago by the state legislature that allows grant funding to be made available to municipalities or counties that have public property. This model has been utilized very extensively and very successfully in Hamlin County and Morristown for several years. And I think everybody can agree that if you've been to Morristown or Hamlin County recently, they have great amenities that we're somewhat envious of, restaurants and retail. And the way they got those was that property was made public, which qualified those for extra incentives for these business, industries, restaurants, and retail to qualify for grant dollars. So the categories across the state, the counties are broken down into 5 separate divisions, ranging from those that would qualify least, in other words, the richest counties among the Tennessee counties, going down to the poorest or the most distressed counties. So this money was being made available by the state legislature to these smaller rural places to add an extra incentive to business and industry to relocate in those areas. This is something that Greene County hasn't done before, and I understand the reluctance to perhaps get into that in the fact that we've never done that before. But it is a way, for instance, that's the reason Smith & Wesson is going to Maryville and Alcoa. It's the reason that Oshkosh is relocating to Jefferson City. Van Hool and Morristown. We can look to our east and see a number of business and industry that's come to Washington County. They qualify for these incentives because that property is public. So that is it's not to get Greene County into the real estate business, but it's to take advantage of a potential opportunity that's afforded to us that we could attract business and industry into Greene County. So everybody's always interested in, what kind of jobs are coming. It also takes out an element of somewhat of the good old boy network and the fact that it makes the legislative body, the local elected leaders, responsible for not keeping out the competition, that sort of thing. So the local government doesn't necessarily have any type of vested interest in a business or industry coming to town if they happen to compete with one that's already here. So the rationale was to just examine the properties to see if it was viable or not for economic and community development. And we've got a team coming up from the state of Tennessee that has expertise in that area, and they'll be evaluating that property October the 26th or 27th, and we'll return their findings to the Greene County Commission. And if the commission decides that is a viable option for us, that we could potentially attract a good business and industry here and develop that property into something very reasonably, then they might make an affirmative decision, and if not, then we'll continue to move in the direction that we're moving.
So how did the redistricting plan approved on Monday change our current districting?
Well, Reid, it really didn't change the district plan that's in place right now at all. Currently, we have 7 commission districts, we have 7 constable districts, we have 7 school board districts. Those districts did not change at all. We're still moving forward with 21 seats on the county commission, 7 seats on the school board, and 7 seats for the constables. What it did change just a little bit, that the county commission authorized to be changed, was some not district lines per se, but where annexation has taken place over the course of the last few years. Those lines, for instance, we had some people that had been annexed from the county into the city. Those people were receiving a city ballot, for instance, in their county precinct. Now they'll be more aligned to vote, as well as sort of clean up the process, if you will, where they are zoned, for instance, as far as annexation. But that's that entire change across the county affected 150 approximate voters. It didn't change the deviation in accordance with what we're required to do with regard to the comptroller's office. So Greene County is very much in line with the law under the deviation, so we weren't required to really do any reapportionment. So everyone, in accordance with the comptroller's office, is considered having fair representation, and all of the districts have about an equal number of folks according to the census and the redistricting plan that was adopted.
The commission approved the sheriff's department donating old radios to the volunteer fire departments. Are there still plans to give digital radios to the volunteer fire departments?
Well, that was a vision that I had, Reid, several years ago. Of course, when I first came to office, we put the sheriff's department on the Tacoma radio network, the digital radio network, which significantly upgraded their ability to talk seamlessly, for instance, to their law enforcement partners like the town of Greenville and THP that were already on those networks. We added EMS to that network, which is certainly more reliable, has greater coverage. Our animal control network is on there as well. But I did have a vision that we could add the volunteer fire departments. I thought that was a very good vision that we could have. The problem with that was not what the volunteer fire departments told me that their priority was, or the resource that they needed. So we've essentially, in talking to the association chiefs, found out that they would rather have the UHF VHF system, or the old radio system that the sheriff's department was on, upgraded to better suit their needs. That's actually an excellent idea, in the fact that, and we've already made overtures to upgrade that network with a new tower in the Mossheim area to better serve the interstate and some of the lower lying areas that the signal tended to cross from the tower on Viking Mountain. There will be a tower on Viking Mountain, one at the interstate at Mossheim, one out the Kingsport Highway near Smith Mill Road to service sort of the northeastern sector, and then the other older tower would be upgraded on the hill at the beacon light at the airport. So that would provide a redundant system, a UHF or VHF system for the volunteer fire departments. The county is paying for those upgrades and tower construction, and so that was the approved radios were some of the old radios that on the old system that the sheriff no longer needed So it was excess or surplus equipment, and the sheriff decided that it would be a good idea to assist the volunteer fire departments and the rescue squad in donating these radios. So I was happy to see the commission saw the utility in that and done that, and I think it will be good for everybody all around.
What is the current status of the purchase of the former Tacoma Hospital building?
Well, we're moving forward with the acquisition of Tacoma Hospital. We met with their surveying team. We have our own surveying team. Some of the lines over the years, obviously, we have to have an accurate survey in order to produce an accurate deed, so that the people, the commission, will know exactly where our property boundaries are, because the Tacoma property got subdivided several years ago, makes that somewhat a delicate process. But we've got it figured out. That took a little extra time than we thought that it might take, but we should be closing on the Tacoma property and take possession of that with a clean deed to begin our repurposing and renovations sometime about mid-November.
Well, I want to thank Greene County Mayor Kevin Morrison for joining us today. This is Reid Seals for 99.5 FM, AM 1340 WGRV.